elect Zingiswa Losi to be the first female president of the Federation. Losi and the other top 6 officials were nominated unopposed to the new office bearers of Cosatu earlier this week. Now, the president-elect joins us now live on Midrand. Ms. Losi, thank you very much indeed for your time. I guess you've got your work cut out for you, isn't it? We've got looming retrenchments, we've got wage disputes. What are some of your priorities?
Thank you very much for having me, Blaine. Indeed, we are coming from a very difficult past, and the future is not so bright as well, with all the issues that you have raised with current envisaged job losses in the manufacturing sector, and also what has been touted to be job losses in the public sector. We must say that Cosatu has its work all cut out, that as we leave Galaga Estate, we have a responsibility to hit the ground running, ensuring that with what is confronting workers now, with the economy that is not so good, we need to engage business, we need to engage government, we need to engage civil society organization and say, how do we have a conversation on how we can be able to change things, turn around such that we avoid job losses, but at the same time, we build our economy. How is government going to help us to industrialize so that we can be able to create employment for the people of this country?
No doubt it's a big day for you, Ms. Losi, but not only for you, but also for your family as well, isn't it? I understand that some of your family members will be flying in from the Eastern Cape. Your dad will be here to witness this big moment. Sadly, I understand that your mum has passed away, but it will be her birthday tomorrow, isn't it? How are you feeling today?
Indeed, indeed. Well, it's overwhelming. It's quite emotional to have the family for the first time since I was elected in the leadership of Cosatu in 2009. In all these congresses, 2009, 2012, 2015, I've never had family members coming through during the Congress proceedings. This will be for the first time that all of them are descending to Johannesburg. It is also an emotional day for me because tomorrow it is my mom's birthday, who passed away on the 20th of April this year. And one wishes that she could have been here to witness this moment, a history in South Africa, a history in Africa. And but indeed, one has to accept the fact that she's not here, but one believes that she is with us all the time. It is quite a humbling experience and a humbling feeling for me at this moment.
No doubt you're going through a roller coaster and a raft of emotions, I understand. But let's talk about this historic moment, being the first president of female president of Cosatu. How do you feel about that?
As I've said, it is quite a humbling experience, you know, for workers in this country under the leadership of the Federation Cosatu. Since its inception in 1985, for the first time in 2018, there is a female president-elect now, and I am that person. And I must say that it is quite a humbling experience because one understands that it is not because workers decided that we want Zingiswa Losi to lead us because she's a woman, but they firstly look at the leadership qualities that one has, the capabilities and intellect that one possesses, and then based on the experiences that we have had on the ground with workers when we are dealing with worker issues and how one has engaged on those matters, then make that decision. Not only about myself, but about the collective that one will be elected with. But it is, of course, because we cannot take away the issue of gender, that I must say historically it has also put the women question at the front. And it is only now that we must be able to also give praises to those giant heroines. Abo Mamo Albertina Sisulu, O Mamo Winnie Matikizela Mandela, O Sharon Matleke, O Mamo Emma Mashinini, who stood before us and handed over this baton. It is a historic moment, not just for workers, but also for women in our country and in the African continent.
Yeah, it's historic indeed, but how are you going to do things differently? You know, the issue of political party affiliations versus worker issues, how are you going to balance that going forward? Because Cosatu, I understand, should be worker focused, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely. This Congress has pronounced itself on a number of resolutions that are worker orientated. And we have a responsibility as the leadership that will be emerging from this Congress to put our priorities and focus on that. Everywhere that we are engaging, even in the African National Congress, as an NEC member of the ANC, my preoccupation when I'm in the NEC of the ANC is to always understand the class that I represent when I'm in the NEC of the ANC. When we engage with government, when we engage with business, it must be about the interest of the workers at all times. That, with no doubt, will put workers' issues at the forefront, but also will be able to unite workers in this country. Because when workers are rallied behind the issues that are directly affecting them, you can never have a divided working class in our country. We would find common ground. An example is how the three federations managed to go to NETLEC and came up with a national minimum wage that we're expecting it to be legislated in no time. It is because we understand that we may have differences on some policy matters, but we identified an issue that brings workers in this country together, and we have then said, out of all the differences, this must be a milestone that we're able to say collectively as workers in this country. We have stood together, put our differences aside, and said a national minimum wage is what workers of this country deserve.
This reconfiguration of the alliance that has been mooted, has been put forward, what shape would it take? How would this play out? What would it look like?
On the reconfigured alliance, what Cosatu is calling for is an alliance that is going to be able, when we are discussing issues of policy, for an example, that the issues that we'll be discussing are issues that when we come out of those discussions and their decisions, when all views of the alliance component have been taken into account, government that is led by the African National Congress must be able to implement those policies. We are saying that the African National Congress cannot on its own, when we have met and discussed critical policy issues that are affecting working class in this country, decide that on their own, when they are now in government, will implement policies that we have no understanding on, particularly those that are anti-workers. So we're also saying that we want a reconfigured alliance that is not going to be just an alliance when we're going to elections, but an alliance that is going to be consulted beyond elections, because when the ANC recognizes the role of other alliance components as we move towards election, we are saying that should not end there, because how we're going to deal with issues that are confronting the workers, taking also and appreciating that the ANC is a multi-class organization, the voices of the communists in the ANC, the voices of the workers in the ANC, it is critical, it is important, and only those voices will emerge and become strong when this alliance is reconfigured.
But I just want to talk about the status quo and currently what's happening in terms of the balance of power. We know that the ANC is spearheading this alliance, and then we have the SACP and Cosatu at the other ends of the triangle. But what sort of clout does Cosatu wield currently?
Excuse me, I didn't get that.
In terms of what sort of clout does Cosatu wield currently as part of this alliance?
All right. Cosatu has a huge responsibility to also unite the mass democratic movement, the ANC, the party, SANCO. Now, you understand that the South African Communist Party also itself relies on Cosatu to be able to take a resolution to support the South African Communist Party when it goes to its Special National Congress and takes a decision on contesting the state and popular power. The ANC itself also expects Cosatu in this Congress, as it has done, to continue to take that resolution of supporting the ANC for these coming national general elections. So indeed, Cosatu is at the center, but what we are saying is that a weak Cosatu would not be able to have any impact in society. Secondly, we are also saying we don't want Cosatu members of Cosatu to be divided over the ANC and the South African Communist Party. So it is critical for Cosatu to be able at all times, when it will be strong, it will be when Cosatu understands its primary mandate, that its responsibility it is towards the workers of this country, and let the alliance partners pull together and come to the center where Cosatu is located, because both of them are saying that the SACP is the vanguard of the working class, the ANC is the leader of society, that the workers of this country are part of that society. Yeah. So Cosatu, it is indeed a very, very significant partner in the alliance relations.
Yeah. No doubt that Cosatu is dealing with a plethora of issues, isn't it? Yesterday we've heard Ibrahim Patel, the minister, saying that corruption and state capture could be taking out about, what, 27 billion rand out of the GDP. And this is in both state and private sector. No doubt that's a big concern for Cosatu.
Indeed it is. That is why Cosatu, last year in September, you would recall that on the 27th of September, we took to the streets. And after having applied for Section 77 at Netlek to go on a strike action and call for a commission of inquiry on the state capture and corruption in our country. And we're very pleased that what we have called for now, it is a reality. And we're making a plea to all those that have evidence around these issues of corruption and state capture to come forward into the Zondo Commission of Inquiry to give evidence. And we're also calling on the government and the state to really begin to defend and protect those that are coming forth to give this evidence. Because the impact of state capture and corruption in our country has dealt a big blow to workers of this country. Currently, as we stand, there is a TV station, as you know, that has been closed down. Workers are behind those TV stations are directly affected. Currently in the state-owned enterprises, SABC now is talking about retrenching workers. It is because of the massive corruption that has taken place there at SABC, that people created jobs that never existed because they wanted people who are going to drive their own selfish, narrow agenda of accumulation at the expense of workers. And the results, even at ESCOM, is what we have seen, that now the only thing that those that are at the helm of leadership of these state-owned enterprises, the first thing that they think about is to retrench the workers that had nothing to do with corruption, is to leave the bloated management that was there as a result of people wanting to have their own people that are going to drive their own selfish greed. So indeed, it is critical for us that we find people that are going to come to the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, give evidence, and as the President Ramaphosa have even made amendment to those terms of reference, that those that are found to be directly affected and had a hand in it, if there's a call for them to be prosecuted, the law must take its course. And indeed, importantly, they must pay back what they have taken from the people of South Africa.
You know, there are serious pressing issues to deal with, but I can't let you go, Ms. Losi, without asking you about the scarf you're using. Tell us about the significance of that scarf.
Thank you very much. The scarf represents our solidarity that Cosatu has with the people of Palestine. You would know that for many years now, Cosatu have stood with the people of Palestine against the atrocities that they are having with the government of Israel. And we have defined the state of the people of Palestine as we understand it, because it is no different from how we had to deal with apartheid. So we have said Israel is an apartheid state. So the way that Palestinians are treated, it is exactly how Africans in this country were treated in the apartheid government. So we remain with the people of Palestine at all times. And Mandela had quite put it eloquently and said, we are not free until the people of Palestine are free.
Zingiswa Losi, President-elect of Cosatu, we thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, in other